What is good, my people? We are live back with another live broadcast, and I got my brother Bakari on here with me. Um, and it's crazy. Troll's the first one in the building, but yeah, I appreciate y'all for listening and coming through and all that. I'm trying to get back on it for y'all, and I'm gonna try to stay focused. And I'm about to start working on the next video. So make sure y'all subscribe to the Forecast Radio 24. I can't put the regular videos on this channel. I know people always ask me, like, well, why are you not doing the videos no more? But they're on the other channel. So y'all got to subscribe to that to see it. So I'm going to put another one out in a few minutes. But yeah, I got my brother Bakari on here. So you can introduce yourself, my brother.
Peace, my brother Forecast. Peace to the chat, man. I thank you for having me on your panel once again. This will be a very, very, very good show, and I'm glad to be here. So whenever you're ready, we can get into this. I'm following your lead.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, make sure y'all subscribe to my brother channel. We have a lot of good conversations over there too. But of course we're not gonna be long, and the number's on the screen for anybody who wanna call in anytime you can call in. But we gotta have the conversation because it works in every single direction. And all the time we hear people talk about the 13th Amendment and they say, yeah, except for um as punishment for a crime, and we know about the prison to pipeline system. But the thing that affects us as a whole community, and it's not just us, but the fact is we are in the middle of a war. We are prisoners of war, and we got to wake up and accept reality. And the other part of the 13th Amendment we don't talk about is the involuntary servitude part, where you voluntarily give up your time, your energy, your effort, your everything to serve somebody else's purpose who will replace you in a heartbeat, but you're scared to get out there and make your own moves. I know individually we do that. And hey, how you doing, Erica? I know individually we make our own moves, but as a collective, we just don't have the courage. And involuntary servitude is literal, or voluntary involuntary servitude is supposedly illegal, except for we know about the prison to pipeline system. But voluntary servitude, we all doing it every day right now. So my brother, how you feel, what you think about that?
Excuse me, voluntary servitude. Voluntary servitude for me is almost like what we're going through now, right? And what we go through around the world. So, like, some people will call it colonization, right? I hear them talk about Africa, neo-colonialism, right? But can't nobody travel thousands of miles from their land to your land and colonize you, as we say, without you allowing it, right? And we depend on other people to come do stuff for you who have bad intentions for you, right? That's like voluntary servitude. And here, what it would be, because it's almost like we're colonized here in our own communities, right? In our own neighborhoods, with other people running the businesses and us giving them their money, us giving them our money, and us being okay to constantly give them our money, regardless of how bad our people is treated. So it's like we're volunteering for this treatment when you have the ability to say, you know what, we're not going here unless black people own it. So let's not go. Or we're not, or in Africa, you can't come here. In all of these years, right, with everything we have been through with the whole world, not one black African nation has built or attempted to build a military to protect black Africa. They have not come together. We're okay with the people coming in there, giving you work, that's worth nothing. They're taking your diamonds, your gold, your coltan, your tin. They're taking your oil. They're taking all of the natural resources for what? You're getting nothing. So then we sit back and we say, well, Europe underdeveloped Africa. Let's say Europe underdeveloped Africa. But now Africa is gone. Why are we still trying to depend on someone else? So that's voluntary for me. That's voluntary servitude. What we're going through now, we are constantly talking, well, they won't do this for us in our community. Well, it's time for us to stop worrying about what they don't do. We have to stop trying to depend on them. Because when you're in servitude, right, you're paying off, you're basically working off a debt, right? Now we don't owe the world nothing but an ass whooping, like my avatar say. That's all black people owe the world. So if there was going to be servitude, the rest of the world should be in servitude to black people because they owe us. But we work for people and do things for other groups of people as if we owe them. And we allow it to continue, then complain about the treatment, then say they won't do this for us and they don't do this for us. And we keep trying to show the rest of the world how loyal we are to this country, how patriotic we are to this country. And we show no patriotism or no loyalty to our own race. I hear the mic.
Yeah, I feel you, my brother. And you touched on, one of the most important parts of all of it. One of the most important parts of all of how and voluntary servitude works. Nothing can work without your consent. See, we have to start getting into reality. We let our fear control us, and the way that we think about things control us. But at the end of the day, the only way that any kind of government can work and sustain itself is if the majority of people agree. Now, if this society, this sick society that has been known for the torture, rape, murder, killing, stealing, whatever you kind of name it, right? If that society has been able to sustain itself, right, that means the majority of people agree. Now, they don't need you educating them on what they're doing to you. They're enjoying doing these things because what they do is play off of your what you think are your weaknesses, off of they play on your emotions. That's how a psychopath can keep you in his grasp, in his clutch. They use your emotions against you, right? And it's not the things, it's the consequences that we fear. But those consequences is not even a reality. But if you fear something enough, then it will be a reality. Like I worked on jobs where the job will, switch up hours and treat the people all dirty. And I'm like, like, well, if everybody call out, then they'll get the message and this and that. But everybody will be scared. And now I don't have a wife and children and all that stuff, so I guess it's easy for me to say. But at the end of the day, how much do you want justice, and not just justice as in for everybody in the whole universe, but how much do you want justice for yourself? How much do you want justice for your children? Right? Because all of that stuff that they do can only work with your consent. There's only one way a small minority can rule the majority, and that's by divide and conquer, by using fear tactics, and by getting your consent, because they can't do anything without your consent, no matter what they have. Believe me, right? We can go through history of the biggest armies, the biggest weapons losing to the most underarmed, undermanned group, whatever. The difference is a mentality, right? They learn how to get you from involuntary servitude to voluntary servitude. To, oh well, I can't really do that because I don't want to mess up my paycheck, right? Because really, at the end of the day, if you think about it, you're working your days and putting in something that you won't be able to sustain generationally. And how do you know? Because we haven't sustained anything generationally yet. But I'm gonna pass the mic to you, my brother.
See, when you said, no, I can't do this, I'm gonna mess up my paycheck. Now I'm gonna come back to these cats on YouTube, and I think I pissed some people off. If I pissed them off, that's okay. Because they wouldn't be pissed off if I wasn't telling the truth. Even with this YouTube thing, it's like voluntary servitude. Don't say this. I can't say that because I will get a strike on my channel. But it's okay to talk negative about African blood people. It's okay to call us the N word. It's okay to call black women B's and H's, right? I know it starts with a W, but I say H. But but when we go to talking about other people, we must be careful because if we are not careful, we will get a strike on our channel. And I don't want a strike on my channel. Just like with Facebook, you can't say this on Facebook or you'll go to what some people call Facebook jail. And to some people, that's almost like a badge of honor. They said something that pissed Facebook off. I very seldom post on Facebook, but it's the same thing. Be careful what you say, or you might piss off the so-called power structure. Now, what I always say, powerful people do, the powerful do, the powerless complain. Since I'm searching for power, you're not gonna. Damn it! Oh, that's a big spider. I'm sorry, but since I'm searching for power, I do my best not to complain about they doing this to us. Look how bad they're treating us. Because powerful do, powerless complain. I'm searching for power. So I'm tired of complaining about what somebody do to us, and we have absolute control over stopping them from doing it to us. I'm going to give you another example. You was a little bitty kid when they did the Million Man March in 1995, right? So we know what just happened on January 6th this year, right? The first thing came out of most of the people's mouth, right, is if that was us, I'm talking about black people, they would have killed us. Look what they would have done to us if that was us, right? In 1995, they say it was like 1.5 million black men out there. So you're going to tell me 1.5 million black men, if we truly had a revolutionary mind, that we couldn't have taken over the capital if we chose to? We could have taken that over. But it's in our mind that we have already defeated. And I understand why it's in most people's mind. I understand what has happened to black people in this country. I understand what is happening to black people in this country. But until we understand that we need to be as brutal to our enemies as they are to us, we will never get out of this jam. Our thing is volunteer. If we make some money, everything will be okay. That's not true. If you don't believe me, ask Bill Cosby. If you don't believe me, ask Bill Cosby that if you make money, everything is going to be okay. That is not true. I understand we are looking for a way out of servitude. We are looking for a way to live. But the way this system was designed and is working perfect. You hear people say, oh, the system don't work. The system is working perfect. We were not brought here to be citizens, free citizens of the system. We were brought here to be slaves, uh, involuntary servitude, prisoners of war. And they wrote their constitutions and everything just like that. Even so, you find some people say, well, the 3/5 clause is dead letter, but it's still written there. You can go find you can get the Constitution and you can read it. If it was dead letter and didn't matter, why won't they just rewrite the Constitution and not have the three-fifth clause in it? They letting you know how they feel. They letting us know, this country, this system is letting us know that that's what we are. We are, but now we are volunteering our services. It was a lady part of this group. I ain't gonna say nothing because people, I don't call people names. What she say? We have proven we can't take care of ourselves. They got to do it for us. And this person have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers. That is a problem. When you follow someone that will tell you that black people cannot take care of themselves, we need white people to do it for us. But you find black people follow it. You find people that echo it. And they say it as if it makes sense. We are proud to be under other people's feet. We are proud to have other people knee on our neck because it give us something to complain about. We stay in servitude because we don't want to stand up and change the system. I understand the fear. I don't agree with it because I have no respect for cowards. None. I do understand why some people would be afraid. I don't agree with it because I don't respect it. So what we have to do, the ones who don't want to be in servitude, we have to build together and build things for our people together, for the people that want to be a part. Because if not, it would be another 100 years, and my great great grandkids will be talking this same talk because we would not have moved 1 iota if the movement don't start right now while we speak. I yield the mic. Oh, peace to everybody in the chat. Sister Erica, Sister Raw, peace to y'all. Oh, I'm gonna even say peace to the troll. I don't know what it is. A man, they say it's a man, but got blonde hair, blue-eyed woman avatar. So I'm gonna say what's up to the troll too. Go ahead, folk.
Yeah, my brother, and you touched on a lot of good points, and and with the 14th Amendment and all of that stuff, get the three-fifths compromise is literally still in the law of the land, which is the United States Constitution. And when it comes to the 14th Amendment, which they say was to make black people citizens, right? Because it's the same stuff from today that is going on back then. And the 14th Amendment literally says persons born in America. Now, they have the law of the Constitution that says you're three-fifths of a person, but the law literally says persons or whatever, blah, 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 you know so it's not directly affecting you. And what most people don't know, or some a lot of people do know but don't talk about, is how the 14th Amendment, what it did and who it helped more, was that it made corporations considered a person. So during the time from like the 1800s or like the early 1900s, corporations actually went to court suing for citizenship and rights, more than it was like almost 300 cases compared to about 20 cases of black people doing it. So that law was not literally for you. It literally turned corporations into people, so now that they can do things that people can do. And they still use this law now. Back then, because they switch it and they talk about this whole Republican thing, they try to throw mass confusion in it. When it comes to the Republicans, right, back then, they was trying to get black people to vote because black people was voting for Democrats. I mean, for Republicans, because the Republicans back then were the Democrats of now, right? Except for they were more blatantly. Well, I can't even say more blatantly racist because y'all voted. Well, we didn't vote in, but a majority of us voted in a person who's been on record for 40 years doing things against us, right? And back then they was expecting the same thing. And a lot of these Southern Democrats, right, even though they hated black people, they would say, oh, well, they are only passing these laws and doing these things so that they can get in power, because they had all white governments. The Confederate governments were still in control, despite what they tell you about the Civil War, and they're fighting for your freedom. Because how can you still wave your flag if you lost a war or whatever? But these Southern Democrats got mad. So, of course, they started passing black codes in places like Alabama. And, one of the codes was, it was the duty of civil officers, which is just regular white people who they deputize, to report the names of minors with parents who were unable to support them financially. Now, the parents were to be arrested for being poor and sentenced to hard labor, and their former enslaver had first choice to take them and put them into work. Now, black people could only be licensed to work by a white judge, and they could only work for a white person. Now, these were basically peonage and vagrancy laws. But, a lot of people don't realize that the first Klan was born in 1865, like almost around the same time as the 13th Amendment. And yeah, they didn't want black people to be free, number one. They didn't want to compete for jobs, number two. They didn't want black people in control of their own cities and having their own finances, right? See, that's where all of this white women stuff came in at. They used white women, but they really was jealous and attacked them economically, right? Because even in those conditions, you were pulling yourselves up by your own bootstraps, the same kind of power you have right now. But I'll pass the mic right there, my brother. You got something to say about that?
We the only people that ever had to pull ourselves up from our bootstraps, you know. What did Martin Luther King say? They brought their peasants here from all over Europe and gave them land. They've been doing it forever. They were giving them land during slavery. They gave them the state of Georgia when the Underground Railroad was going to now what's considered, well, what is North Florida. These peasants from Ireland, they prisoners. They created Georgia to stop the slaves from running to North Florida, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Fort Negro. They have been doing it forever. We the only ones that ever have to pull ourselves up by the bootstrap. But then we are always trying to equate other people's problem with ours. We are always trying to reach our hand out and be friends with other people when other people absolutely have chosen the other side. Or even if they didn't choose the other side, they chose their own side. They chose to build themselves up and not thinking about us. But we have been so, what we can say, under white subjugation. We have been subjugated in this country by the power structure for so long by white folk that we don't think we can do anything for ourselves. But I see other people coming and they're building communities. Or you can go here in the Atlanta area, we call it Little Mexico. And like I was telling you, I'm going to go up there and record and do a little quick little show about it. And you can see, we call it Mexico, but you see Salvadoran grocery stores, Venezuelan grocery stores, Mexican shops. All those people know to go live amongst one another and create something for themselves. And my son, who's about to go to college, right? And he was telling me he was taking his law class in high school. And I met a couple of the cops, and they say, as much as we complain about the cops, we call the cops as much as white people. But they say, you know who don't? Hispanic community, uh, the Asian community. They have figured that they realize the cop in this system is not on their side. So most stuff they handle themselves. When you find Latinos or whatever in jail, it's because of other people, or it's because they got caught out being too. But no one in their community is calling the cops unless it's like a murder. The Asian community, the Senate, this is coming from police here. a black woman, and a black man and they were in their uniform telling black people to stop calling the police so much. We have to take care of things ourselves. And I agree with that. But once you in a position where you depend on other people for everything and you don't think you can do anything for yourself because that's how you have been treated in this country is to wait to become dependent on this system, right? To become dependent on this system, it's as if we in a funk and we can't get out of it. You know, I hear people saying, complaining about this capitalist system that we live in. Yes, this form of capitalism is absolutely horrible. They say we need socialism, right? This country has always had social programs for their own people. Welfare, food stamp, Medicaid, none of that was for black women in the beginning. Public housing, that was not for black women. They did that for their people. They did that for their people. I know it would be harder for us to do it, right? But those are some of the things that we are going to have to start looking into doing for our people. We're going to have to start creating for our people. If we want, we have to use their economic system, which is capitalism, and we're going to have to use Garveyism, study Garveyism, so we can help our people and we can be proud and we can build something to take care of ourselves, to leave our land, and we build a militia. It's in the Constitution that everybody should have a well-armed militia. And if you go back and look at these wars or look when stuff was going on, these states was calling on their militias. Like, do you watch sports at all, college sports at all, forecast?
Every now and then, not too much.
So have you ever heard of the Michigan Wolverines?
Yeah, yeah, I know of Michigan Wolverines. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, did you know they were named after the white militia from Michigan? They were called the Wolverines.
Oh, for real.
Yes, that's what their mascot is not named after that animal. Their mascot is named after the Michigan militia, which was called the Wolverines. Now, this thing just put in the chat, this thing real life, say its family was here since 1543. Then in her native side, and they didn't believe in slavery at all. Now, I said peace to the troll. Now the troll is just in here lying. The troll want attention. So I'm going to pass the mic to you, forecast, because everybody know that's a lie. What's your native side, real life? What's your native side?
It's the side that paid $5 to get that. But
Yeah.
but anyway, like you were saying, like it's about living for yourself, and but the point is we try to argue, convince, prove I'm a human, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a human, I'm a person. They don't care about none of that, right? They treat their dogs with respect. They're eat out the same bowl with their dogs, but they'll tell you you got to go out back. It's not about any of that, right? It's about jealousy. It's about hatred. You think convincing them about their own laws as if they didn't make the laws against you in the first place, and you're trying to find loopholes, but they don't even keep their own laws themselves. They break the law just because they want to, just because they can, just because they have the white and I'm say so thing going in their mentality. You trying to prove something to a liar, to somebody who's going to gaslight you and try to tell you that you're crazy. And you talked about, people, how they named colleges and all that, about the Michigan Wolverines. They even Howard University is named after a white general who they put in charge of the Freedmen's Bureau, who was in charge of the labor policy, which was basically putting black people in the sharecropping, which was slavery. And they did it involuntarily, right? Still going against their own laws. Because back then and right now, right, back then they would say, we'll just go against the government. We're not even going to hear what you're talking about and still enforce our own laws, right? And today they'll run up in the Capitol and take it over when they don't feel like they should obey their own laws. Right now, back then there was something called the Southern Homestead Act, right, where the land was supposed to go to white loyalists, people who stayed loyal to Abraham Lincoln and the Union, and it was supposed to go to black people, but it was never enforced. Right, black people made claims on the land, but former Confederate soldiers who were treasonous and rebellious, right? They got access to the land. And America gave away 270 million acres of land that they took from somebody else, right? And more than 1.6 million white families made claims on the land, and about 6,000 black people made claims, but only like 1 or 2,000 received any land at all. And that's how this poor white middle class was even built in the first place, off of welfare. But they'll tell you, any form of welfare is handouts, and as if everything they haven't received isn't a handout. And they can tell you this with a straight face because it's a psychological condition that you're dealing with. They are delusional, right? It's hypocrisy in every way. That's why you destroy a point, instead of addressing that, they'll go to the next point, because it's not about fairness. It's not about none of that. It's about winning. It's about maintaining dominance. What's going on, brother guy? And by the way, anybody could call in anytime that you want to call in. But we are suffering also from a mental illness by even trying to fit in to a system like that was meant to destroy you. Now they passed laws, literally the sheriffs and all of these people were KKK, and we're still finding out all of these sheriffs and all of this is the KKK. People say the KKK infiltrated the police, or the KKK is in the police. I say no, it's the police. It's some police that's in the KKK, because that's how the organization started. And they went around disarming black people, right? And then they would ride around at night wearing masks. And this is in the 1860s, right? As soon as you were quote unquote free, because you had more protection when in this country when you were a white man's property than when you were quote unquote free out of chattel slavery, right? And they will ride around at night and terrorize you, and nobody would do anything about it. And now they can put on a police uniform and ride around day or night, recorded or not recorded, and sit on a little girl or kick a woman in the face or beat up a man or do any of these kind of things. And we still try to say, well, we should talk to them and work it out. No justice, no peace, but let's have a negotiation. Let's come to the table, right? That sister in the Olympics. I don't know if you've seen this, my brother Bakari, and I want to hear what you got to say about that sister in the Olympics. I don't know if it's true or not. Like, let me know. They said they changed the rules because the sister was so good at it that they had to judge her differently, right? But you're still sitting there trying to be a part of something like that, right? But that's the culture that we live in. Your excellence is not supposed to exist, because somebody with a superiority complex, somebody who's inferior to them, doing way better than them, now what do they have? Because to them, you got to understand, all they've ever gotten from America was that you're white and you're better than the lowest Negro. But then they see a Negro that's a million times better than them. What else do they have? They're willing to give up everything to take whatever they have from you, because that's the only way they can lift themselves up, by pulling you down. They can't ever go up by jealousy and hatred. So what can they do? Try to pull you down, try to do everything they can to attack you. But they're going to criminalize and demonize your talents. Now they're like, I heard somebody say they're not going to say Tom Brady is too good, we got to change the rules around quarterbacks. No, they'll say you can't hit Tom Brady or come 5 yards or it's a penalty, right? They aren't going to say, I don't know who their great athletes are, but whoever a great athlete they supposedly have, if this person's too good, no, they protect that person. But when this person's too good, if they can't stop them one way, they'll try to stop them another way. But that proves how great that you really are. It's just only you have to believe it. What they believe, what they say means nothing. But what you got to say about that, my brother?
You know what? When you said that, right, I was looking up about Simone Biles, about the rules, right? And Forbes magazine started their article off. This is in Forbes magazine. They started the article off with, "If you can't beat them, change the rules. The bias and unfair barriers for excellence in America." It's not for no damn excellence in America. It's because of black excellence. You know that, right? You know that, right? Forecast. It had nothing to do with no her being
Say
from
that.
America.
Wait, yeah, say that again. Say that one more time.
I'm gonna read the title to you again. The
Hmm.
title of this article. Oh, Pasta 0316 sound like a brother like me. They won't stop till we stop them. Okay, this is the name of that article. This is in Forbes magazine. "If you can't beat them, change the rules. The bias and unfair barriers for excellence in America." You think that has something to do with being excellent in America? It has something to do with her being black. It's
Right.
absolutely because she's black.
Right. Yeah.
Have nothing to do with no America. Stop trying to force loyalty to this country or down our throat when this country has never given a damn about us. I even hear people talking about, I've heard some people, a couple of people, say negative things about Simone Biles because she stepped down, right? Because she stepped down, right? And they what I can't remember the little white girl from the 80s. And so they put this meme around of her picture on there who won the gymnastics all around in the 80s. I can't think of a name. This is when you never quit, right? But I tell people nobody has been oppressed, suppressed, depressed, like black people have, right? Nobody, right? Nobody understand the mental anguish and the mental trauma that black people go through every day in this damn country. So maybe representing something that don't give a damn about her at all and claiming loyalty to something that absolutely hate your guts, maybe it got to the young lady. Maybe it got to her. They changed the rules because the whole world hates black people. And they constantly show it. They hate African blood people. The whole world. I'm loyal to my race. That's it. And maybe, just maybe, Simone Biles saw where that drunk Army Ranger claimed he was drunk, right? Beat a black woman to death while she was at work just doing her job. And maybe that was just the tipping point. And she cannot go out there and flip for this country anymore. I'm not going to walk around with no red, white, and blue USA wrapped around me. Now, I didn't hear her say this. This is what I'm thinking. I can't go walk around with this red, white, and blue wrapped around me, knowing as soon as I get away from this world stage, my brother, my sister, my daddy, my mama, even myself could end up somewhere hanging from a tree, could end up somewhere beat to death, could end up shot like Breonna Taylor while I'm in my house sleep. Maybe all of that finally got to her. And maybe it need to get to more of us so we can get, when you said, when we started earlier, you said involuntary, you said voluntary servitude, right? Maybe it needs to get to more of us So this fake loyalty for something that hates your guts can absolutely leave. So we can stop being proud of being in servitude. So we can stop being proud of this position that we are in, but then acting as if this position make us better and have a lot of smoke for other black people. Maybe that's just me. Maybe all of that. Then on top of changing the rules because of the difficult flips that I do, changing the rules, maybe all of that finally, finally got to her. I wish the young lady the best. I'm proud of her for what she have done and what she can possibly do in the future. I think black people, all of us everywhere, we need to wrap, if we can, us spiritually, wrap your arms around her. Be with her emotionally. Let her know that we support her instead of doing like this one cat did a show. One guy have called her a quitter, quit on her country. She quit on her teammates. But this country quit on her a long time ago. You can go back to Jack Johnson. As long as you're winning and celebrate, as long as you're winning and doing everything we tell you to do, you're okay. Now he gave up his career for white women, something that but that's a whole nother story. Why you messing with our women? As long as you're doing whatever they want you to do, stand in your place and remaining loyal to us while we treat you like this, you'll be okay. Because what we do should never bother you, should never make you want to stand up. You should be happy to be in this position that you're in. Because I remind you, I gave it to you and I let you be free. I hear the mic. Hold on, before I hear the mic, wait a minute. The brother Jermaine Thompson, Jermaine put in a chat, it was okay, Michael Phelps did it, the swimmer. You're right. Uh Look at Sha'Carri Richardson. I talked about this the other day on my channel. She didn't make the Olympics because she smoked a little weed, right? Forbes magazine has an article. Cannabis take the world stage at the Tokyo Olympics. She didn't make it because of marijuana. Then they're advertising it. Then they have this woman who's on the Olympic soccer team, right? Who's promoting cannabis. Uh Megan Rapinoe or something like that. She's promoting cannabis because her sister owned a dispensary and she talks about how she used weed during her training because it helps her relax and she can perform better. Nobody's saying nothing negative about that. We better understand we on our own. We can be as loyal as we want to be. We can wave that flag all you want. We can brag on we fought in every war all we want. We can brag on we built this country with dogs at our heels, whips on our back, gun to your head. We can brag on that all we want. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, if we don't desire to take power and we only desire for these people to say you're equal to us and you're an American, we'll never get out this position. We have to desire power. And once we desire power, we will stop everything that's happened to us. Now I yield the mic, and I apologize for that forecast.
Oh, no, you good, my brother. You can say whatever you want to say. And yeah, and you said a lot of good things too. And I'm glad you mentioned Jack Johnson too. I think everybody should look at the story of Jack Johnson. It's like real interesting. It's like really the story of America. But the point is, we talk, we can have, we understand, we know that this is a system designed against us, and we can prove it time after time, and people still argue, well, I'm not prejudiced. You can't be prejudiced because we're not even prejudging at this point. We're going off history and reacting like a human should in a survival mode. So you don't have to explain yourself when you say, I don't want these people killing my children, I don't want these people doing this, doing that. But you know it's like when Stephen A. Smith said something about the black Nigerian team, talking about the Olympics, right? But he had to go on an apology tour to the Asian community because they were not going to accept him saying something negative about him. Right now, we're going to apologize for telling somebody not to say something negative about us, and they have, and this troll said in there, like, it's not, she represented America, right? You got to understand, for them, they like to use different talking points, different times, right? Because when it came to Floyd Mayweather, when he beat that white boy up, right? It wasn't about America versus Ireland, right? They were rocking the Irish flags, you know, and you mentioned Jack Johnson. They have this great white hope complex, right? Where they see you doing good. Right now, the great white hope, understand that means that represents a loser, right? The great white hope has always been defeated. And that's, again, the story of Jack Johnson. What they wanted to do was take his heavyweight belt away. He was sleeping with white women in their face. They wanted to lynch him and kill him, but they stripped him of his title. They put him in debt. They wouldn't let him fight no more. That was the only way that they can beat him, right? So the great white hope represents nothing but violence. And this person talks about, and they like to say, you can go somewhere else when you're free, but that's the thing. This is a mindset thing, because even then they think you're still supposed to be under their rule. And if you don't believe me, go ask any nation that's not under their rule and see if they're being attacked, or if their president is being shot in his own bed, and their uh, governments are being destabilized, right? So it's not about that. It's about that mentality, because believe me, they'll be over there to kidnap you again if you're not prepared. So it's about, what are you gonna do? You know, the reason why, and this person said the Klan went away because a lot of people like talk about when he played the movie Birth of a Nation at the White House. That was the rebirth of the Klan, right? Because every single time where black people had enough, or somebody tried to punish them for doing something, that's when they have all of these hate groups popping up. Now, when they can terrorize you and demonize you, free will, and nobody's doing anything to stop them, right? Then, yeah, all of these hate groups will go away because they just average citizens doing this, right? See, that's the thing we not realizing. And it's not about average citizen. I don't even care what an individual white person thinks, but they have a whole system, a whole government backing them up. But again, the only way that a government can survive, especially a government that needed you every step of the way, and I don't care what they have, but the only way that they can control you is with your consent. Um, all right, let me take this call. Press 1 to send a voicemail. Press. Hello?
Hey, brother Forecast.
Yo, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, yeah, this is MG2. Man, I'm enjoying your show.
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Hey, Bakari, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him. Peace, MG2.
Hey, what's up there, brother Bakari? Always good. Always good seeing you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, my brother. You can speak in mine.
Oh, yeah. Just enjoying the two of you guys as I always do. Just to give you kind of a little heads up. First off, peace to the chat. It's good seeing the family in the chat. Always good. Just to give you kind of a heads up, what they're doing, their brother Forecast, and I've seen it at least over 5 decades. At least that. What they're doing is and I'm talking our competitors. I always like to use the term competitors because it gives kind of a third party focus. And what I mean by a third party, it takes any kind of reasoning, emotions, rationalizations, or anything else of what these folks do and why they do it. So I use the term competitor to give me a third party feel. So that way, it's almost like to dehumanize them, like somebody would do in war, and that kind of helps me out. So what these competitors are doing, whether it's white or others, what they've done to Simone Biles is no different than what they did to Wendell Scott. Back, if you ever see the movie Grease Lightning with Richard Pryor, that'll tell you kind of, give you kind of a heads up of what they did to Wendell Scott. And he's not the only one they've done that to. Personally, and even not just personal, but even to the advantage of black folks, what they do, Brother Forecast, everything they're doing is perfect. What I mean by that is it's like a skunk. A skunk that does not stink, I have a problem with it. These individuals are doing everything that, for lack of a better term, they're just as vile as they were when they came out the womb, as much as they are when they came on the planet. It's like if there was any kind of change or anything different, it'd be like looking at the sun rise in the west, and that would be unsettling. The thing is, I hope they continue to do what they're doing, because what it is it'll also give others the ability to look at them as a third party. Like I said, not looking in terms of emotive content, not looking in terms of something to rationalize, not looking into something as how come they're doing this or why did they do that. No, they're doing everything right because they're doing like a skunk, it stinks. The thing is, that's more important is for us as a collective, even if we can't as a complete collective, but even individually, it's us to know that anything that they do, anything that they are, it should not have any bearing on our lives. It should not have any control of our lives. Matter of fact, the only time it should interact with our lives is when we go ahead and get rid of them like a roach. Or anything that has to do with us is when we want to move that obstacle out of our way as Africans, as black folk. The thing is when I look at them, and I'm talking any competitor that's a competitor to us, black folk, I don't look at it in terms of anything other than that's a different species, and it's all no different than like you would see in Discovery Channel or any of these other European channels, whereas they're competing for a resource that is ours. And like any other species that sees something as a threat to its own existence, it wipes it away. I look at that because, again, I dehumanize them. So therefore, there is no emotive content. There is no rationalization. There is nothing I could say except for, like any animal, it's doing instinctual what it has to do for itself. The most important thing is for us to do what we have to do for ourselves. As I always said, especially on these YouTubes or whatever, their rules, their laws, their mandates, their dictates, their protocols, whatever it is, has no bearing on us. Or it has no bearing on me. I could care less about anything that they do or say. If you ever get a chance, watch a movie, and the best version is the 1973 version of The Island of Dr. Moreau. There's another movie called Man Friday that came out in 1975, Richard Roundtree and Richard Widmark. And I tell folks, watch that not for the entertainment value, but watch that for the psychological and economic value of what they're trying to tell folks. In other words, those movies were actually written for black folk to get our minds out of depending on others to do our bidding, to do the things that they, because whatever they do is going to be, again, like an animal, it's going to be for its own interest, and it'll be a threat to anything else that could take that resource. The thing is these were made basically for us to say, wait a minute, when are we going to do for ourselves? And anything that's in our way, whether it's the Chinese in Africa or whether it's the cops in Louisiana, when are we going to go ahead and move that threat away from our existence? On that note, I'm going to go ahead and just impart that to you, brother. It's always good to listen to you guys. Peace to the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and hand the mic off.
I ain't mean to hang up. Well, yeah. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. I ain't mean to hang the phone up. But he absolutely right. It's working perfect. Now, the only way it can work that way is by your consent. I had a job a while ago that I'm like, they were trying to figure out a way to get overtime work, but without paying the people overtime. And I'm like, how are they going to do this? Right. And at the end of the day, what they did was made people work on their day off. And then when they're supposed to work, they approached them like, do you want to go home? Now, the people could have said, I'm not working on my day off, or they could have said, I'm not going home. But they complied and they found a way to get that work out of the people without actually paying them, because everybody wasn't on the same accord, right? Because people don't have that mindset. They don't even look at it that way, because we don't have that instinct. Like, they have a urgency to stay in the position that they're in, because if they don't have that, they have nothing. You got to understand that. So we have to have the mindset of urgency to get out of this situation. Now, I'm not trying to say anybody religious or whatever, but you can look at it however you want, just as a white person's how Christianity. But the point is, they figured out a way to get people to go to a book club once a week for 1,000 years, so over 1,000 years. That's powerful. That's hard to do. You got to understand how the systems are created in order to start understanding how to destroy them and destabilize them, because you can build your own, but you got to understand in the system and the mindset of somebody who comes from a place of poverty and lack and dark and coldness and not enoughness, and you develop a individual mindset, and you develop habits, like, you come where you have to come up with sayings like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Now you're trying to adapt where you're leaving places that's the most abundant, not by force or by choice, but you're leaving places that's the most abundant, right? That has the most natural resources that everybody else has to try to invade to get to, right? You're leaving those lands while everybody else is trying to get in there, because they've been able to instill doctrines of self-hate into you by force, by repetition, by generation after generation, because they understood it's easier to make a slave from a baby than to make a slave out of somebody who's already been free. But I'll let you speak on that, my brother Bakari.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You're dealing with a people, even when we say we want equality, you're dealing with a people who don't know how to share nothing because they never had anything to share, right? Them. And I'm gonna tell you something. I don't leave out them nasty ass Arabs either. Pardon my French on your channel because of their role in this, right? But I ask, I'm gonna go to the chat right quick. Ocean Breeze said, let me see if I can find it right quick. She said, he, she, whatever Ocean Breeze is. I asked if it was black, it didn't answer. Okay, Ocean Breeze said it black. Say so now. Who does she say? So
Hey,
it's my
let me say this. Call in to, you can call in too. The number is 804-601-4015. But go ahead, my brother.
so as Ocean Breeze, as MG2 was speaking, that person said, who's promoting racism now? Only thing MD2 was doing was speaking on what was going on here in this country and what was going on around the world. See, it back to them or whoever or the people working for them always want control. They can do whatever they want to do. They can beat you, shoot you, kill you, rob you, rape you, enslave you, do whatever they want to do. But if black people speak on what's going on and say what we should do, black people is promoting racism. They are not promoting racism, though. They can send their militias, which is the police in our community, arrest you. You get overcharged, you get over sentenced, or you get I can't breathe. But we are promoting racism by mentioning certain things and saying what black people should do. Peace, Cutter. Peace to everybody in the chat. Pasta 0316, Ocean Breeze. I'm glad you're here. Real life, everybody, if I forgot a name. But I'm going to show you something, right? I want us to look at this. And I want y'all to put a one in the chat. Do y'all remember when the pandemic, if you remember this, put a one in the chat. If you don't, put a two. When the pandemic first happened and they were running, say they was running out of food, no food on the shelves and all that, Do anybody in the chat remember that? Do y'all remember that? So I don't know how many of y'all ever heard of my channel, Brother Bakari. I don't know how many of y'all ever watched it. But I'm about to tell y'all now the same thing I said then. Whatever city you in, your neighborhood, whoever you can, we need try to start with a team of 5, but shoot for a team of 10. Get you a rendezvous point with all of the supplies. People, start putting your money together now. Start buying canned goods, rice, crackers, MREs, water, toilet paper, paper towel. Because the shortage is coming again. The next time you're in your grocery store, look at the prices, look and see what on the shelves, right? So we're going to talk solutions too. Because I ain't the one that just complain and say, look what they do to us. Because I talk about that to bring up the things that we can do. The last time I had someone fall out with me, we were doing a show, and I had been telling people for about 2 years, we need to create a team. We need to create a team. Who gonna bring this? Who gonna bring this? Who gonna bring this? Who gonna bring this? Everybody would laugh at me. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Ain't nothing gonna happen. When it happened, boom, I go in the barbershop. Man, you got this, you got this, you got this. I'm like, what you got? I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing to give you. Y'all, they literally laughed at me in my face for 2 years. When it happened, they wanted what I had. And I'm being honest, I said no. But I did feed at least 7 families. I fed them, gave them paper towel, toilet paper, bleach during the pandemic. 7 families, like single parent homes. I did that. But for the people that I knew who would laugh at me, not all of them, because it was a couple, they didn't put their money together, but when shit hit the fan, they would call me, man, you got food? Like, what you got? I got, no, they would call, you got bullets, because they know I'm always shopping for bullets. You got bullets? Yep. I got fish. Let me get some bullets. All right. Then some of them we rock together so good, like, now, what you need? I got, this is what I got. This should be able to hold you for a minute. But that's what we have to do. We have to create teams starting now. If you haven't talked about creating one, we have to create teams now so we will be able to feed. My one dude say gardening and farming. Yes, if you have a garden, if you round someone that's farming and you can be a part of that, that's an excellent idea. But if you're not, I'm telling you, canned goods, rice, crackers, beans, it's better to be what a good soldier stay prepared, right? We need soldiers. So we need to learn to be prepared. I just wanted to throw that in right quick. Back to Ocean Breeze. Ocean Breeze said they don't feel that way. I feel that some people hide behind the badge, a group, no matter what color. I don't even understand what that means. You don't feel what way? You don't feel that the police come in and do things to black people. It's just because of the color of their skin. I don't know what that means, because I know you cannot be saying that the police treat everybody the same. I know you cannot be saying that. If that's what you're saying, you know you're not telling the truth. So this voluntary servitude that we're in, oh yes, back to MG2. When MG2 say they're doing everything right, and when people complain about racism, right? I'm going to give you my definition, how I view racism. I view racism as natural, right? Because I say we are animals. We are mammals. Human being is nothing but an animal. And animals run with their pack. That's just natural. Racism don't mean someone, this is me. I don't think someone hate me because they're racist. Racism and a bigot is different. Real life, what that is, supposed to like white people more than they care about me. That's natural. Just like I care about black people more than I care about, that's natural. We supposed to want to look out for one another. We supposed to want to take care of one another. That's my take on it. And then where racist, I think it's overused. And even the word racist, what it came from. The British, the Spanish, the French, the Portuguese, the Dutch. Those were 5 countries coming to the new world to so-called build the new world. And they were in a race. They had said who could develop the new world first. So they were racing. Hence, if you look up and study, you will see they were called racist because they were racing. And those are all 5 white countries. That's just my take on it. I just think it's natural. I think it's natural. I know people say if you put little babies down and they don't see color, yeah, you're right. That's cool. You put little babies down, they won't see color. But when they grow up, it's impossible to live in this world and not see color. And I think we need to stop trying to teach our kids not to see color, not to see race. It's impossible to live here and not. And why is it we are the only ones that want to make sure we reach our hands out for everybody? Hey, forecast, I'm gonna pass you the mic. But look at real life. I have black friends. I don't look at color different. If you ain't look at it different, you wouldn't have to let everybody know your friends were black. You understand what I'm saying? You wouldn't have to let everybody know that your friends are black if you
Yeah.
don't look at different. It's okay to be different. I embrace the differences that I have with other. I embrace that it's okay to be different. It's okay to see color. For me, anyway, I embrace the differences. People are different. That's why white people from Europe, Arabs from part of Asia, India from a part of Asia, Orientals from a part of Asia, black people, we're African, and we circumnavigated the globe before anybody else. We left and went other places. That's why they see us everywhere, because we left a long time ago. Some people went to islands a very long time ago. It's okay to be different, and it's okay to embrace those differences. I hear the mic forecast it on you.
Yeah, my brother, it's definitely okay, and that's why I don't care if somebody calls me racist, and nobody should. And I know I'm not racist yet. I don't have the power to tell them what they can and can't do yet. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even worried about that. But the point is, I don't want to live. If you think that Trayvon Martin deserved to be killed, if you think that Breonna Taylor deserved to be killed, if you think that Philando Castile deserved to be killed, I'm not going to sit there and argue with you and disrespect these people like that. We don't need to be in the same society. And it's okay to say, oh, not all people is this, not all people is that. Well, you know what? A certain select people run the population. Now, I don't know why the majority of the white population is slaves for them. They have no problem with it, but I don't want to be that. I don't want to have to go work all day to get a piece of paper with somebody like Andrew Jackson on it, right? Because if you think Andrew Jackson was a hero, if you think Thomas Jefferson was a hero, if you think George Washington was a hero, we don't need to be in the same society because you're worshiping a psychopath. And that's what I'm talking about. And it's easy for you to say that somebody is racist when they're talking about self love when you're trained with self hate, or you need somebody to have self hate to stay in the position you're in. But you being unapologetic about who you are, what you've been through, because guess what? You're not the people who literally kidnapped somebody, invited your grandma, your baby, the 6-year old little Becky, you know, everybody in the family to have a picnic, right? To go hang up somebody and cut off their fingers, cut out their tongue, gouge out their eyeballs, all while calling them nigga, and then fight over body parts, what the castration, right? Fight over the body parts. You don't have that mindset, right? But you are the ones that being called racist, right? See, that is a mindset, especially if the person is black or white or whatever they are, you know, they are going to tell you they don't see color when they are in a position of power. But let it the second come up that they're not in a position of power, they automatically see color because they'll automatically call you the racist person. That's why they need to find every avenue to make you as racist as they are, because everybody does it. But not everybody has that sick mentality. Not everybody passed laws to go out intentionally to rape and molest children. And you gotta recognize when they judge you, they're judging you off their own, off their mindset. That's why they're afraid for you to be in a position that you're in. But that's why they need you to be in an apologetic state, because they need you to volunteer for the servitude. Because if you ever found out that they had to kidnap you to get any of this, then what else would they have? Because then you'll know you can build your own. And my brother talked about the pandemic, and you definitely should be aware of that and be ready for that. And by the way, if you got vaccinated and all that stuff, how is still another pandemic? But that's another whole topic, we could talk about. But you know, of course, is being ready for the pandemic, but other groups, communities use that because it's not, I don't see color when it stop Asian hate. It's not, um, I don't see color when they're taking little Mexican kids and putting them in cages or whatever they was doing, right? It's not, I don't see color when a white person can't get into a black university over a black student. They'll say it's because of racism. They can understand it then, right? When a white boy shoots a little kid or a Chinese dude shoots a 6-year-old boy and they let him out for $1,000 or however much they let him out for, but they can understand right and wrong when it's a little 6-year-old white boy, and they can charge everybody involved, but they don't see color. See, they like to use mind tricks and games because they are in a position where they control everything. And if you can control everything, of course you want it to be status quo. Let's start from scratch now that I've gotten everything from you. Now let's start at zero. Now that I've set you back, now that I've taken your religion, now that I've taken your language, now let's start from jump. But they're not gonna give up what they have they try to shame you about anti-Semitism. Well, a Jewish person don't got nothing to say to me until they ready to kick up some reparations, right? An Asian person don't got nothing to say to me until they're ready to include me in their Stop Asian Hate bill, right? They talk about the LGBT community, and I'll say it on right here, right? They don't talk about the faggots who was raping men and children, little boys, little girls, and they praise them, right? They put them on the sides of mountains, and they tell you that you are wrong for saying, I don't want my kid to be shot, right? It don't matter how much LeBron James had, how much money LeBron James has. He has a contract that'll set him up for the rest of his life, and he could have bought real estate, he could have got resources, all of that kind of stuff. But if he said, I don't want the police to kill a kid just like that, then he has to go on an apology tour, right? But if a person literally sits on a little child, if a white man hits a little girl, they're going to make excuses for it and say why you deserve it. And you have to be apologetic about that. Now you got to have a certain mindset, and I don't really know what they're saying, but yeah, you can go ahead, my brother. And if anybody wants to call, you got a chance to prove it, right? You had a chance to speak your point, but I know most people don't, because it's not about any of that stuff. It's about rhetoric, right? It's about, if it's a black person, there's a fear, a complex, because they know they're gonna have to deal with it. But guess what? They are okay with liberty or death. Are you okay with that? But yeah, you go ahead, my brother.
All right. Ocean Breeze say, if we could learn from our ancestors in just a little bit, which ancestor are you talking about? Are you talking about Marcus Garvey? Because I
How
learned
to
from
be
Marcus
what?
Garvey.
Yeah,
Ida B.
Ida B.
Wells,
Wells. You're right.
Fannie Lou Hamer. Which ancestor are you talking about? Or are you talking about the ancestors to tell us, just forgive? uh, let them treat us any way they want to treat us, and hopefully some of them will have sympathy and things will change. Which ancestor are you talking about? Are you talking about the Dr. King that called them peasants and saying we going to DC to get them checks? Which ancestor are you talking about? Like I said, read the book, We Will Shoot Back. Are we talking about the ancestors that in Amory, Mississippi, during Reconstruction, when the Klan went into Amory, Mississippi and killed 3 black people? And then those black people from that all black town went to the next town over and caught 2 white men and cut their heads off and put it on a stick and left a note on their head saying white people can't enter our town without permission. Which ancestors are we talking about? And I'm just asking which ones. I ain't trying to be rude or anything like that. Which ones are we talking about? See, we need to know all of the stories because our ancestors have fought back and they didn't fight back for us to be in this position that we're in now. They didn't fight back for us to be in a position and constantly want to fight one another, right? This is not why they fought back. They fought back so we could have our own. They fought back so we could be a proud people and we could learn to do for self. Look at Booker T. Washington. Look at Booker T. Washington. So now, when you was talking about what happened during slavery, real life put in the chat say you didn't live that life. You weren't living back then. But let me show you something. We did live a life where we saw the guy on the soda die with somebody kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes saying I can't breathe, calling for his mama. We did live a life where Breonna Taylor was laying in her bed sleep and the police shot from the outside before they even went in the house and killed her while she was in her bed sleep. We did live a life where they found a black man hanging from a tree in February right there in Winston, Georgia. So don't try to sit and compare your little lollydar white life with what black people have done or what black people have gone through, the trauma and the anguish that black people have gone through. See, those are the kind that I really truly dislike. Well, you didn't live that life. Nope, you're right. But I live from the effects of that life. We live from no other people was taught to hate who you are, hate where you come from. Why do you think so many black people hate to say we of African descent or we are African blood people? No other people was taught to be loyal. Remember, I did a show called Slavery in the Military, how they would put their slaves on the front line, right? Now watch this. That started back in the 6th century. Go to the Vietnam War. When you hear black people talk, then they talk about how many black people was on the front line. It's okay to kill the slaves first. Then you can come back here and be treated like crap. Go fight for a country. So don't try to tell black people about their life, you damn bastard. Pardon my French forecast on your channel, man. But them the kind I really truly hate and despise. You let her get away with a little bit, you give them an inch, then they want to take a damn mile. You didn't live that life. Probably the one that will say, man, I didn't own any slaves. No, you didn't own any slaves, but you show living off the benefits of what slavery, what enslaved African people did for this country. You're sure living off of that. You and all your people, you're living off that. But like Pasta 0316 put in the chat, and I absolutely agree. Ain't nothing gonna change until we change it. It ain't gonna change until we unite, organize, and strategize. It ain't gonna change until we start saying, you know what, we gonna protect our neighborhoods. The first protection of our neighborhoods is stop going to these foreign people in our, stop going to them Arabs and East Indians and all of that in our community before we go to our own people. Let's shut those stores down until black people own those stores. That's what we have to do. We have to start controlling our neighborhood, controlling our blocks, turn those little corner stores into small groceries. We may not have everything that the major chains have right now, but we can work with black farmers and we can have vegetables and stuff inside of those corner stores if we just come together and say, you know what, I'm going to drive 10 miles past these bastards till I find a black owned, and then we control it. Ocean Breeze said it sounds like segregation to them. Have you ever wondered why is only one race of people talk about integration? Don't nobody ever go tell the Arabs, why y'all so segregated? Don't nobody go tell them Chinese they got Chinatown, why y'all so segregated? Don't nobody go tell the Hispanics who live amongst themselves, why y'all so segregated? But when this person says black, but whenever it's black people that want to control their community and control everything that go on about themselves and their lives and their community, what they can protect, kick other people out because we can't take our businesses to other people communities, all of a sudden it's segregation. Okay, you can call it what you want to call it. I call it self-determination. I call them black people controlling their own destiny. When it comes to business, I'm a business owner. I do business with everybody. It don't, because everybody got black people money. And the way I feel is how I feel. And anybody I deal with, black, white, Chinese, well, the Hispanics, they don't hardly deal with you. They let you know. Most people don't deal with the businesses down here with black business. All my money be strictly going, my 90% of my money is going to be black and white. That's just the honest truth. Even some of the most bigoted rednecks. But I don't live next door to them. So they'll call me, I do, and I bounce. And that's just the truth, right? But don't nobody tell them when they're locking down their trailer park strictly for them. That sounds like segregation to me. That sounds like, but how is that being a good neighbor moving forward, showing the next generation that we are better than the last? Huh? We are moving forward. I'm showing the next generation that how we need to take care of ourselves, how we don't need to depend on other people, how we need to kick other people out of our community. I got an idea, Ocean Breeze. I don't know what you do for a living, but you go to Chinatown and open up a business. If you say you're black, go to Chinatown and see what they tell you. When they tell you that you can open your business in Chinatown, then you come talk to me and tell me I'm wrong with what I'm talking about. I get sick and tired of black people doing that. I really get sick and tired of black people. That person says black, don't see his face. I'm black. I'll show my face for you, right? Bam, there you go. Don't see the person's face. Don't see an avatar. Don't see nothing. Don't know what it is, a flower. Real life got an avatar of a woman, but say it's a man. So I just call it an it because I think that's strange for a man to have an avatar of blonde hair, blue eyes. But that's what we have to do. Once we unite, we're going to organize, we're going to strategize, and we're going to run and take care of our community. We're going to take care, we're going to choose is the wrong word. We're going to look out for people that's doing good in school. I'm not knocking saying we shouldn't have prison programs. We shouldn't want to help the people in prison, but we got enough people doing that, right? I have said once before, and I'm going to ask again. And if anybody want to be a part, you can put a yes in the chat, and I'll put my email in the chat. We have to create programs for our kids that's going to college and going to trade school because they're in school and don't have nothing to eat. They need somebody to talk to. Let's go motivate them, and we all can work together. The only way, what we say we looking for, the only way this society is going to be better if black people start being better and start being better to themselves. And we demand respect. And we gonna not only do we demand it, then we gonna go out here and we gonna earn it and we gonna take it. Respect. That's the biggest tool. So if anybody want to be part of some type of organization, let's see if we can put our heads together and start in the area so we can support what we call the nerds who graduate in high school with 3.7s. See, because what end up happening, right? Let me say this forecast, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm talking about this. Because what end up happening is our young men and women that go to school to be lawyers, doctors, accountants. You understand what I'm saying?
Yo, brother Bakari.
A little bit right though.
Yeah, brother Bakari.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You dropped out for a second.
Oh, my bad. So my thinking on it is, if we can show our youth that's trying to do the right thing right now, encourage them, keep them on the right path, right? Those attorneys that we need, those doctors that we need, those accountants that we need, those mechanics that we need, those people that building robots, coders that we need, right? All of that, all these carpenters that we need to build houses, people that drive in heavy equipment, all that we need because we need everything. If we reach out to them and show them the same type of love as we show to other people who's in prison, I'm not saying forget about someone who's been to prison. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we also need a group and more of us to focus on the ones that's doing the right thing right now. What Cutter was on my he went on the channel, he was in the chat, but he what we call them nerds. So it's time because my son is one of those nerds. My son didn't learn to ride a bike till he was 10 years old. People used to laugh at him, but I encouraged him to continue to do what he was doing. He was 6 years old, like that. I don't want to ride a bike. Riding a bike has no future. But he read the dictionary that was designed for grade school and middle school, the whole dictionary. Then all of his friends, when he went in high school, is a whole crew of them, 15. The lowest GPA is 3.4. And that was just the boys. He said the girls that was with them, it's like 10 girls that hang with him, they're all real tight, and say it's all of them. The lowest GPA is around like a 3.4 or a 3.5. So we need to support them too. They need our support. They gonna need some ramen noodles later at night. They gonna want to get up and go get a snack. We can put $20 on their books. We can give them toiletries. We can do all that. So guess what? So now if the ones that's doing right on the right path now do the right thing and come back, the ones that getting out of prison that trying to do the right thing or haven't gone to prison and trying to change their life and do the right thing, the ones that's on the right path now, the mechanic, the heavy equipment operator, the attorneys, the accountants, they can start training and start looking out for one another. That's the things that we have to do to build ourselves up. We don't forget about the people we forget about is the ones that just don't want to be a part at all, that don't want to do better. But the ones that's on the right path right now, like we got back to Jermaine Thomas, he put one, I'm gonna put my email in the chat. He the one who put something about farming. You know how many black farmers there is, and you know how some of these people, might want to farm when they getting out, or the ones going to school might want to farm. All that, and it have to work together for us to be a better people. For me, that's the bigger goal, for us to be a global people, right? I'm part of something right now called Strategic World Logistics. It's like 9 of us, and we believe in Garveyism and shit. Right now, we on a roll. Right now, we on a roll. If everything worked right, the way we're going in the next couple of years, if it continue on this path, we will have our first cargo ship where we're moving our own stuff. But in this process, we're giving people opportunity to learn how to do brokering to broker freight, and we're giving people opportunity to learn dispatching so they can be a job, so they can be a part, so they can have a job to take care of their families. It ain't just for us, it's for everybody. We have to start teaming up. Once again, back to this pandemic. This is the small part of the teaming. Team up so we can have the things that you need when the stuff hit harder. I'm black, so we know when we go to the store, we look for chicken. When's the last time y'all heard from people saying they're being in a chicken shortage? Think about it. A chicken shortage. You know what time it is if they're in a chicken shortage. You know what we got to start doing in the chicken shortage. I'll give the mic. I'm going to give it to you for a cash because I'm about to start rambling and sound like my friend Cutter.
Oh yeah, it's all good, my brother. It's all good. And I'm gonna give anybody who want to call in because now is your chance. Especially if you want to prove us wrong, or you can do that right now. So I'll give anybody who want to call in a chance to call in. Is 804-601-4015. Now, I'll say this, and this is how I know that I'm on the right track, and everything is kind of going how it's supposed to go. Now, I do a show talking about voluntary servitude, and then this person, who is it, Ocean Breeze, comes in for the first time and is a great example of this voluntary servitude. Now, of course, we don't know this person's face or who they are or any of this kind of stuff, but they are trying to push this mindset because they're telling you, well, you haven't lived this life. Now, never mind that, we're sending our children to school, because it shouldn't just be about Philando Castile, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin. The list goes on and on, right? We're talking about a mindset of people that will hug the person who killed their brother in their own house, right? But they're telling you that you have to go along with what the society, you need to fit into the society, you need to assimilate into the society, right? And that is the mindset that we have to start understanding that they need us to stay in. Right now, I don't know if this person is black, but obviously they talking about our ancestors, and I gotta say shouts out to our ancestors. I don't know if this person knew that one of the great ancestors, one of the last survivors of the Rosewood massacre. This woman said, what is your suggestion for black people going forward? She said, if you ever get land of your own, never build it surrounding white people, because they may do to you what they did to us already, right? Or the words of the great Ida B. Wells. If I said I had a hero, it would be Ida B. Wells. She's the one who broke down how it wasn't necessarily about white women. They just used white women. It was about the economics of it all, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We are talking about economics, right? Because in reality, the person who controls the food, the person who controls the guns, they're going to control the knowledge, they're going to control the history. Right now, I don't know which ancestors he's talking about. I don't know if he's talking about Stokely Carmichael, right? Who, he may be talking about Martin Luther King and his non-violent stuff, but he was getting arrested. But guess what? I don't want to be like Martin Luther King because he got shot in the face. I don't want to get shot in the face. Right. And if you're going to say, oh, you don't live that life, you damn right. We're never going back to that. We're never going to live that life again. Right. This is a different generation. We are the generation that is going to bridge the gap to go from one point to another, to put our children in a position to be successful. So, you're right. Right, and their ancestors are probably turning over in their grave. They fear critical race theory, right? Teaching you a little bit of the history. They ain't going to teach you stuff about like Madison Washington. Speaking about your ancestors, because I like to always tell this brother's story. Well, I don't know what you are. You could be a white boy, you could be a white girl, a black woman. I'm not sure. You can call in, because that mindset just isn't limited to one person. Right? And me, I'm not even as harsh on coons or so-called. I don't even like to say that word, but I'm not as harsh on that, because I understand there's a Stockholm syndrome. It's a sickness, right? Some of us suffer it more severe than others, but you're damn right. We're never going back to that. We're never going to live that kind of life again. But the fact is, they can still have one cop laying on a little girl and a group of black people surrounding them, and they're scared to do anything but record them. See, that mindset has got to end, right? We can talk about black farmers and all of this stuff, and we got to start learning that. But do you know this country made it illegal for you to learn about plants? They went out of their way to make sure you didn't know about this stuff. But they don't want to teach you anything about history, and people like Madison Washington, who escaped from slavery twice, went back into slavery to go rescue his wife and end up freeing 100 and some people, and took them back to Africa. See, but they'll tell you about Amistad because it happened in the same year because it said, give us free. See, that's that voluntary servitude because they don't have no control over you if you just say, hey, I'm not abiding by this. Right? You can learn a lesson from them in their own civil war because they'll tell you forget about history, but they got to teach you about their civil war. And they don't even teach their own people the truth about the civil war. Right? But the point is, when they said, okay, the North is taxing us too much because they want in on the slave money, we ain't abiding by your rules no more. We're willing to fight a war. When it came to the Revolutionary War and British wanted back the money they gave America to slaughter the native people, they said, we're not paying you this money. We'll go to war for that. Now, here you are saying we don't want our children to be slaughtered. Whoa, 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 you're racist. You're speaking rhetoric, right? You're making terrorist threats, but here they are destabilizing other countries, destabilizing other governments, destroying the economy, not the destroying the environment. But we're supposed to sit there and do nothing, and even their own people should be mad about it, but they're not mad. But we should be mad we don't control our own food. And we talk about the black farmers. Do you know that little bit of money they were supposed to get goes to people of color? So everybody's in on that. But the black group didn't get the money. And then those white farmers who historically only got the money sued the black farmers so they couldn't be in control. Why do they not want you to be in control of your own food so much? Right? Why aren't we mad that our parents, our mothers are dying from diabetes at a young age, high blood pressure? Right? That's the kind of stuff we should be mad about. Right? We think as just a random event that black people was in the projects. They built highways right through our cities. Of course, we need to study our ancestors. Right? I come from Richmond, Virginia. Right? Jackson Ward back then was a booming black um, booming black industry, black place in the 1930s, and they built highways right through it, and then put the projects right on the side, and then made people fight for jobs, little bit of jobs where they pay you nothing. Now they do the same thing to their own people, but they found a way to get them to ignorantly commit suicide. They're the suicide bombers they're afraid of from the Taliban. That's what they are for America, but they're too dumb to realize it. But they're telling you that you're wrong for being like that for yourself. You want to be in charge of your own. You can go ahead and say what you want to say, brother Bakar.
You know what? They don't want us to be in control of our own because of them being afraid of what they're going to lose. They had to create a controlled environment. And the people that have been controlled is us, but that controlled environment and them controlling us is ending, right? It's going to end for the majority of us. Excuse me, it's ending now. Oh yeah, forecast before I continue. Put my email in the chat because Jermaine Thompson said he want. I can't put my email in your chat. So if
I
you
don't
put
know
it in,
how.
my email don't come up. I can only see it.
Hey, how can I let you do that
But if
and
you
like
type it,
share videos and stuff?
oh for
Oh, well,
real?
I do it. I'll just figure it out later, but I'll do it right now. And yeah,
Yeah.
let me say this one thing. Real life said is not only you, but I don't care what they did to somebody else. I care what they did to me. I'm focused on what they did to me, and I'm focused on rebuilding my own. I don't care. You deal with your own problem. Go to Bill Shapiro for what they did to your neighborhoods. But go ahead, my brother.
They always like to throw in it wasn't just you, it was this. They did this to nobody else. Over 400 years, they did this to nobody else. Nobody children were born into slavery. Think about this. You know, when you hear and they talk about black people own slaves here too, right? But you know, they never finish that story. They just leave it at that. So we can just start looking at one another. But once you start studying, and I'm not saying it wasn't one black person or two, I don't know, but I can tell you this. Damn it, I got to find the name of my book. And when I find the name of my book, it was the Carolinas, the slave trade. I'll get the name of it and give it to you. But anyway, black people that own slaves. You know why they own so many slaves? Because here in this country, it was illegal for a black person to free slaves. Did you know most black people that owned slaves owned their family members? So you found men that was free, purchased their wife, and it was illegal for them to give them freedom papers. So you had to own your wife. How sick is that? And vice versa. Or if you had your freedom and you buy your kids, you have to keep them as a slave. You couldn't even give your kids freedom papers. So when black people did it too, they never, ever, ever want to tell the full story. They only want to tell bits and pieces. And they're going to show the bits and pieces. They're going to try to make them look good. And I'm sick and tired of that. But I'm going to be honest with you, and I hope don't nobody get mad, but if you do, I'm tired of us complaining about what they do. Pastor 0316, where he at? Because he said it best. It ain't going to stop it till we make it stop. It time's up. Time is up for the complaining, right? It's time to make a difference. And how do we make a difference? It's time for us to stand up and get this country neck off our knee. It's time for us to stand up to get the whole world off our neck. Get their knee off our neck. Get them off our back. It's time's up for people colonizing our neighborhoods and our communities. It's time's up for people colonizing our brothers and sisters over and over and over in the continent of Africa. It's time is up for that. They're not going to stop doing it, but we're going to stop them from doing it. They're not going to stop on their own. We have to control it. We have to control it. And we have to be strong with it. Unite, organize, strategize. And all of our rules when we come together is not put on YouTube. We use this YouTube as a tool so we can start meeting one another, so we can find out a good meeting place for us to get together and do like black folks do. Let's have a barbecue and a fish fry. And when we have that barbecue and that fish fry, let's sit down and organize and strategize and talk about who's going to do what and how we are going to do it and what we need to get done and how we going to get out here and get our people to understand not to go to that Arab or that East Indian that own that corner store in your neighborhood and all they do is hire Arabs or East Indians. Not to go to that Chinese restaurant in your neighborhood. Let's open up a black-owned Chinese restaurant because all the Chinese people hire Chinese or Mexicans. You understand? So that's what we're going to have to do. That's what we have to do. Ocean Breeze say, sit down and pray. Who am I supposed to pray to, Ocean Breeze? Sit down and pray for tomorrow to be better than today. That's what we are talking about. Tomorrow being better than today for black people. Ain't that what we talking about, forecast? Tomorrow being better than today for black people?
No, we talking about right now being better. Don't forget tomorrow. It's always tomorrow. Ain't no more tomorrows, man.
Yes, that's what we're talking about. A better future for us, better future for our kids. So I agree with you that. So yes, we're gonna sit down and pray that the future is great for us. I receive your prayer, Ocean Breeze. I hear the mic.
All right, yeah, and we are about to wrap it up, and yeah, if anybody want to call in, you can call in, and you're talking about, like I said, you're talking about better days. We're talking about right now, and we're praying to our ancestors, and this is what the ancestors is saying. You understand? You know, don't ever let nobody harm your children, right? Don't let somebody else control the way you live, think, feel, see the world, right? And if somebody ever tries to oppress you or violate your boundaries, set your boundaries by any means necessary, right? We're talking about better right now is because I don't know why we aren't sick of it now. It's been 400 years. And, our brother talked about the black slavery. They use all kinds of talking points. The first slave owner in America was not a black person. It was a white dude, right? The first slave in America was this dude named John Punch, right? Like my brother said, a lot of the black slave owners own their family. And the ones that own the most slaves, right? If you look into it, they have this mulatto background, right? See, this is why we have to start drawing our own lines because it's murky right now. But we have to start setting foundations, making our own rules, right? Because they'll tell you you're arrogant, you're trying to be this, you're trying to be that, and they call you a separatist. But you know what the difference is, right? We're not saying we hate somebody so much that we wouldn't even accept their money, right? Because right, everybody laugh at the movie Life, right? They don't serve nigga pies, but Muhammad Ali will break it down. Here I am fighting for America. We're talking about the Olympics. Here I am beating the world for America. Here I am winning gold for America. Come home to my own hometown and can't even sit down and come into the restaurant. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about we have a mentality of not enough. If we see a cop sitting right there, make sure you get him off that child. That's what we're talking about. And a lot of the issues that we're dealing with, like my brother was talking about with the black slave owners, right? Black people were buying their own family members. And there's cases where, a black woman sold her husband because they got into a real bad argument. So she sold him to her white neighbor, and then when she calmed down and wanted to go buy him back, that white neighbor wouldn't sell him back, right? He may have promised her that he would have, right? It may have been some kind of letter in the law where they could have did that, and right, but they're talking about joints, but the key is they're making billions of dollars off the same thing they're locking your warrior class up for. And see, is that mindset of separation, and that's that mindset that we have. That's why this person is a perfect example, because there's not really a lot of talking points they can use, right? Because they understand that's why they don't call in and stuff like that, because they'll get embarrassed. But it doesn't really affect me because it proves my point of what I'm saying. They're so obsessed with you that they can't just leave. They can only try to disprove your points, and then when you prove them wrong, they'll go to the next subject. And then once you prove that wrong, they'll try to slander you because they have this mindset of what says goes. Now, I don't know if this person is a black person or not, but that's what voluntary servitude looks like. Right now, they say the first person that died for America was Crispus Attucks, a black man. But the only reason we know this name, Crispus Attucks, is because the second president of America, John Adams, put him, got the British soldiers that did that British massacre, whatever they call it. I don't really know what they call it, but he got them free because he said a black man started it, pretty much. Right? That's the mindset of America. And that's the thing that we have to get rid of. And, this black slave owner mentality, because we're quick to say, well, we'll make every excuse for this system. And that's what the system is designed to do. None of this stuff is by coincidence. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Their talking points is the same. James Baldwin defeated their talking points in the 1950s, right? Muhammad Ali defeated their talking points in the 1970s. It's not about the talking points. It's about causing confusion. But once you learn the confusion they're trying to cause, you can use it against them because your enemy studies you. That's why they're here. But you have to start studying your enemy and seeing how they move. America spends the most money on self-defense, more than anybody else, right? I'm not telling you nothing different than George Washington told America, and they put his face on the side of a mountain. Now, what's the difference? I'm not a psychopathic killer. That's the difference, right? I'm not a rapist. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference. I don't molest little children. That's the difference. So stop letting somebody else dictate what your humanity is. Somebody who lacks empathy, somebody who can't even reason, right? It's cognitive empathy where they study you and try to imitate you, but they can never truly get it. That's why they try to take your culture and destroy it and tell you what your culture is. Your culture is more than music and athletics. Your culture is for your survival, right? How to feed yourself, how to clothe yourself, how to protect your children. And don't let anybody ever tell you that you're wrong for thinking any of that. They said they proved me wrong. Like I said, you can call in and prove that. But like I said, um, no, well, I'm a black man. I think I should be self-defense. I don't think I should be going to a court system ruled by somebody else. I think that I should be in a position to create my own laws and run my own society how I want to run my society. And if you think that a killer is okay with killing one of our children, I don't want to be in the society with you. That's what I think. Now you can protect yourself. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm saying if we're going to be in America and learn from anything from America, it should be the spirit of self-defense. Now, brother Bakari, I'm gonna let you go ahead and close out and say everything you gotta say. You ain't gotta be quick. You can take as long as you want. You can go ahead, my brother.
Now I'm like, hey, Jermaine Thompson, I put it in there. If you find my last one, I put in there, brother. I put in there Bakari promising, and that's at Gmail. They won't let me put the old email in there. So if you see Bakari, and it's not case sensitive, if you see Bakari promising, it's at gmail.com. That's my email. Uh, this woman, this thing, I don't know what Ocean Breeze is. It says a woman. Aren't you an American? Don't you feel we should spend money on self-defense? We actually none of this is we ain't spending no money to defend black people. For the record, you know why they spend so much money on self-defense here? Because these people know how they took this country. They know how they took this country, and they fear an uprising. That's why I constantly tell people, and I'm gonna say it again: we should read the book. We should read the book. We will shoot back. And you will see when they made the laws where black people, when they tried to make where black people shouldn't have guns, it was because black people figured out they could have militias. And when they had militias, they defended themselves. And if we study that history, that brief moment in history, I'm not saying nothing ever happened to black people, but black people did something to them too. But if we start studying that brief moment in history, we will see like, oh my goodness, stuff stopped. Then go back and I prove this to my son. And not that I knock anything that Martin Luther King did. Let me say that first. But when they talk about voters' right, they put Martin Luther King in the forefront because he was the one that was saying peaceful things at the time. But I showed my son, and they have a documentary on it. It said black farmers, right? Black farmers in Mississippi, how they have, because see, they only show you certain things about Mississippi because they want you to think a certain way about Mississippi. And if you start thinking about Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, you'll forget about the problems that you have in your area because you'll start talking about how bad it is right there. But once you see how those farmers learn the law, 50s and 60s, you remember the movie Mississippi Burning? Have you ever seen that forecast?
Yeah, I
Uh,
seen it. Yeah, I saw it.
okay. So you remember when those people when they pulled over the two Jews and the black guy and killed them, right? They never show the whole story, right? You know, they got them when they went out at night and they weren't supposed to go out. You would see them attacking a church, but that church was not on anybody's property. Like if you come, even here, even you see it here if you go to certain areas in the country. and it probably in Virginia, where you'll see a church and it look like it's on some private property, right? And the reason being, because black people learned the law, you could defend your church if it was on your property. So you could see how the black farm, it started in Mississippi and spread it throughout the South. People was leaving the white farms, come working for black people. White farmers doing everything in their power. But anyway, they started fighting back. And that's what helped change a lot of these laws. But they don't talk about that because they don't want you to know that those people learn it. So they have to keep a certain image for you in your head. It's psychological. So they have to keep an image for you. So when you think about certain places like that, you only know what they have shown you because we didn't dig deeper, right? Because if we dig deeper, we're like, damn, it's much more to the story than they have told you. So Ocean Breeze said, we are all Americans. What are you not born here? Were you born? That don't mean anything because you always call Chinese people Chinese. So why don't you call them American? All them not born in China. A lot of them born here. You ever notice how they only want to put that on black people forecast? Tell black people you got to say you're an American because you're born here, but they don't put it on other people that's born here. They don't put it on this Asian community, the Chinese, the Koreans, the Vietnamese. They gonna always be Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese. Don't care how many generations they're born here. Italians gonna always be Italians. Don't care how many generations been born here. They gonna always be Italian. But when it comes to black people, we shouldn't say we're African because we are born here. You see how every time it comes to black people, it's always a different set of rules. And this person say they're black, so and it's always a black person that wants you to follow those rules. One thing about me, you know, Dr. Julia Hare, Dr. Barbara Sizemore, the great Dr. John Henry Clark, they all said, and I absolutely agree. I'm going to use Dr. John Henry Clark. When Dr. John Henry Clark, this was in the 80s, he did this lecture. He said, gonna come to a time, and he said he saw it happening then. Well, black people gonna stop saying they're African, they're gonna be American. They're not gonna be African, they're gonna be Jamaican. They're not gonna be African, they're gonna be Haitian. They're not gonna be African, they're gonna be Trinidadian. They're gonna be wherever they are, right? Giving up their revolutionary spirit. I know why I was born. I don't have to scream American, American, American. That's a given. But being African is not a given because they wanted to take that from you. I'm an American born African. That's what I am. I'm not telling anyone else they have to identify the way that I identify. That does not mean we can't work together. I'm cool to cross over tribal lines. I'm okay with that. You're going to find people that say they're ADOS. I could work with some people that say they're ADOS. I don't agree with all that loyalty, patriotism to this country, but I can still work with them. I can work with people that's foundation of Black American. I don't agree with all that patriotism. I don't agree with anyone forgetting their ancestors. We're the only people that's told to forget who your ancestors are. Just love this, forget your ancestors. But as long as we have, as long as we are here, it's going to be differences. We have to be able to work past our differences. We have to be able to work past our differences if we want to get better. And I'm going to say this because this is something people always like to say. All black people ain't going to get together. Okay. I never said all 45, 48, 50 million black people in this country was going to get together. But all of us is going to get together. And the all of us that's going to come together is the all of us that want to be together. The ones that don't want to be with us, we don't worry about them no more. So we going to have all of us. The all of us we're going to have is the all of us that want to be there. Don't worry about the other ones anymore. The ones that want to be will be. The ones that don't want to be won't be. The ones that want power gonna search power. The ones that want to stay in this uh, 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 this meek position, as the Bible says, the meek. will inherit the earth. The meek ain't never inherited nothing but an ass whooping. But the ones who don't want to be a part, we won't be a part. You understand? Okay, congratulations. I just didn't understand why the other guy was saying that we should not defend the country that we live in. Whew, okay. First of all, I'm gonna say this again, right? I was in this country's military. They tried to send me to Kuwait. I got out. I'm the youngest of 9 siblings, right? I have 8 siblings. Well, my mom and dad had 9 kids together. My dad had one by his first wife before he met my mom. So I'm the youngest of 10. My dad had 8 boys, 2 girls. My mom and dad together had 9 kids. All 8 boys went to the military. They tried to send me to Kuwait. I told him I wasn't going to Kuwait. This country, my son laughed because he talked to some of my military buddies the other day. His dad refused to go. I told them they could do what they want to do. I ain't fighting for nothing that won't fight for me. My daddy fought in World War II in this country. What do you think happened with my daddy when he came back from World War II? Forecast. What do you think happened? Do you think he could go anywhere he wanted to go without a fight after coming back from overseas for this damn country? Huh?
I mean, I don't think he was able to do what he wanted to do there because it was racism in the army during World War II, and
It's racism in the army now. And no, and by the way, real life, I have an honorable discharge. I have honorable discharge. Thank you very much. Thank you. I have an honorable discharge. You understand? I'm strong enough, whatever it is I say. I'm grown enough to make my decisions, and I'm man enough to accept whatever consequences come. I have an honorable discharge. I was good at my job, but I didn't join the military to go to fight for this country. I didn't. That's just facts. I had 2 brothers go to war. You think them going to war, coming back here, stop this damn country from messing with them? Like I said, my daddy fought in World War II. You think that stop? Think my daddy could get up and go to IHOP if he wanted to? They would serve him out the back door. One of my friend uncles went to damn Vietnam. How you think he was treated when he came back? They didn't help him. Waking up at 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to set the house on fire, because he still think he at war. This country didn't give a damn about giving him no help. So anybody who don't like what I say, I don't give a damn. When I say how I feel, I don't care. Should black people join this military? That's a double-edged sword. I say yes and no. I won't ever tell nobody don't do something that I did. If you need to go to the military and you want to go to college and you need college money, go to the military. I tell anybody, don't care what it is you do, try to be the best. I was a cook. I could I could have about 40 omelets on that grill at one time. I wanted to be the best damn cook I could be. Because that's what I did. Ocean Breeze, I'm a oops baby. My mom and daddy had a oops. I'll leave it at that. uh, I'm younger than people think I would when I say my dad was born in 1920 and my mom was born in 1927. I'm younger than most people think. I'm not in my 60s. I'm not even in my 50s. I'm almost 50, but I'm not in my 50s. I'm almost 50. My oldest sister is 82. But if you need to go to the military for college money, go. I won't tell nobody don't go. Go get that college money. Do what you got to do. If the military your way out and you enjoy it, some people go in and enjoy it. I'm going to be honest. Since we talking about the military, and if I had stayed in Korea my whole term, because when I had 2 years left on my contract, I probably would have done 5 years in the military in Korea. Not the fact that I like Korea, but Korea was a better duty station than the United States. Nothing to spend your money on. You could save money. If the military been segregated, I was in 5 years. I was in 5 years. I never had a. All the black people had black roommates. The white people had white roommates. The Hispanics had Hispanic roommates. That's just how it was. And I imagine that's probably how it is now. But I say any skill you learn, you bring it back and you teach your people. That's just a fact. That's just what I believe. But I won't tell you don't go. If anybody feel they need to go, I say take advantage of the military because the military is going to take advantage of you and enjoy the experiences that you're going to get going all because you'll get a chance to see other countries that you probably wouldn't see. If you want to go for travel, go to the Navy. Now I'm just rambling. Back to this voluntary servitude. We're going to get out of that. We're going to serve ourselves, right? So now I'm going to say this. Forecaster, thank you for letting me come on your panel. It was good talking to this chat. Ocean Breeze. I think we had two trolls, Ocean Breeze and Real Life. But I don't even dislike the trolls till the trolls get disrespectful like Real Life. I'm like Forecast. I let the trolls stand there and I talk to you. Everybody, man, I thank y'all for listening. And if I said something that you like, go check out my channel. It's all Brother Bakari. Smash that subscribe button and that notification bell. Go down and check and you'll see me out giving out books to our youth. I have a year-round book drive. It's called Team Black Book Drive. You'll see me promoting black businesses. You'll see me doing all of that because that's what I believe in. And I'm going to say this to you, Ocean Breeze, because you said you're black. I want you to understand when you hear black people saying they love black people, we ain't even talking about hating nobody else. We ain't even talking about hating nobody else. We just talking about how we love us and we going to put ourselves on a pedestal and we're going to take care of us. And if people don't understand that, especially black people, I can't explain it to you any better because I don't have to hate anyone to love me. And I don't hate anyone to love me. Thank you again, Forecast. Peace to all y'all. Check out my channel.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother Bakari, for coming on. I appreciate all of y'all for listening. And Ocean Breeze, I'm gonna assume that Ocean Breeze is a black woman, and that's why I'm because this channel is kind of for people with that kind of mentality to snap them out, like because no matter what color you are, you shouldn't be putting up with this. But in a society that was designed to destroy who you are, that literally makes the hair that grows out of your head illegal, you should not be wanting to be a part of that. And you damn right, I'm saying you should not fight for this country. Now, let me tell you this: during integration, a lot of people believe black people fought for integration. They were fighting for equal funding, not necessarily integration, because they were, of course, were in schools where there was terrible and all of that kind of stuff. Now, if they would have fought for equal funding instead of being integrated, you would be controlling your own curriculum. You would be able to teach them not to just be workers for somebody else, right? You would teach them the truth about history, that they don't just start as slaves, that's not their whole history, that's not their whole identity. Now you're saying this like I made this country, right? I'm not the one that made the rules or something, but you cannot take something that was fundamentally built to do something. You can't take the roots out of a tree, right, and still expect the tree to survive. So if something was built off of bloodshed, rape, murder, based off the color of your skin, right? And I didn't make the rules because people say racism is a social construct, but once people start practicing that social construct, it's a real thing, right? You got to start protecting yourself behind that social construct. Now, if you start understanding that your enemy learned how to be on code to stay on that because they learn how to protect their own, they will always come to you. But you cannot be it's not a sign of self-love, right, to try to be friends with somebody who constantly hurts you. If somebody violates your boundaries and you tell them to stop doing it, and then violates your boundaries a little bit further, that person is not your friend. And it cannot be love everybody if you don't love yourself. And you cannot love yourself if you're okay with anybody being able to violate your children. Do you know why we need a change in this society? Because if, as a black man, if one of us get pulled over with our children in the car, right, they can violate us, they can violate our children, and we can't do nothing about it. Now, you can say it could happen to any race, but usually it doesn't, right? Usually people who can shoot people in the church get taken to Burger King, but a black man walking across the street could end up in death. I'm not the person who made the society, right? But we would be ignorant not to react. Now, you don't see a bird will attack a pit bull to protect its children. So why are you making excuses or any kind of reasons not to be in charge of your own solutions, of having your own mindset? Right, we need to break the cycle, but the only way that you can have protection is if you have an army or a government to protect you. I'm not the one that created it this way, but the world will violate the weak, right? The world violates the weak. They will always come after the person who cannot defend itself. That's the way the world works, right? The bully always wins, but once you start punching that bully back in the face, that's the only way you can get respect, right? But the only way you can get respect from somebody else is if you have respect for yourself. And the only way you can have respect for yourself is not to see your image destroyed, depleted. Why are we still having talks about, oh, we don't have black heroes, we don't have black this, we don't have black that? We don't need anybody else to create anything for us, but it's that mindset of wanting to be a part of a sick society that keeps us in the position that we are in, because we don't have the courage to stand up and look at the truth for in reality for what it really is, because we always have to find an excuse, because at the end of the day it's too hard to stand up to the actual truth, the actual facts. Now, like I said, I'm gonna assume you a sister, so I can't really blame you for the Stockholm syndrome, but right now we're in a position where we're passing down generational curses instead of generational wealth. Now, I'm not just going to sit idly by and hope things change, because for hundreds of years it hasn't, right? So now each one of us has to take action, and you taking action is not a negative or a bad thing. But, I appreciate everybody for listening. Again, make sure y'all subscribe to the backup channel, the Forecast Radio 24. Make sure y'all subscribe to my brother Bakari channel. I appreciate everybody for listening. And I guess we coming up is more people. But like I said, if y'all had a chance, y'all can call in the next time. But I appreciate you, brother Bakari. But as always, uh
I was just
what?
saying, appreciate you.
All right, my brother. But yeah, as always, we have got to start standing for something, or we gonna keep falling for anything.